It's great to see so many hanging on. I've spotted a number of names that have attended a lot of sessions this year for OER20, so we're very grateful for you and also for presenters. We appreciate it. It's not easy under the current circumstances to not only prepare some wonderful presentations, but also I know a number of people have created content. They've adapted their presentations to work online. So I think it's been a wonderful example of what we can do.
Thanks, Martin, and hello to our co-chair trio, Daniel, Jonathan, and Mia. I hope we added the right version of you in this webinar to enable you to take the mic. And in a minute, we'll get underway and introduce you again to do the plenary. So I just wanted to give you all the chance to check your mic, please.
Hi there, everyone. It's Mia.
Hello, it's Daniel.
And hello, it's Jonathan. Did that
Hi,
all
the
work
three of
through
you.
okay?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. It's Maren here, and together with Martin and all my colleagues, we're ready to say thank you and reflect on an amazing 2 days. Martin is going to get our plenary slides up, and because we're streaming the session live, Martin is going to share his screen with us. So we're going to have Tech HQ control over our slides. And in a moment, I'm going to hand over to you to lead us in a plenary. But just on the next slide, I just wanted to make a quick announcement, a little bit of late housekeeping, to just say thank you to everyone who's been so patient and supportive earlier today when we had some small disruption in some of our sessions. And apology to any presenter who've been affected by this. We can't help being open to all sometimes means that you have unwanted guests. So it's been a little bit disruptive, but hopefully we have managed to deal with it as well as possible. But our apologies for the inconvenience caused. Moving on then, everybody in the staff team has been blown away by so much participation, which is one of the core values of us as an organization. And together with the trustees of ALT and all my colleagues, I just wanted to say thank you to the co-chairs who've been amazing. And last but not least, before I hand over to you, I also wanted to just point out that we're celebrating an important launch today of the Wikimedia and Education publication, which is now freely accessible and ready to download from the OER site. So we hope that you make the most of this. There won't be a physical publication. There's a safe in Edinburgh, but we want to make sure that you all get at least the digital copy. And with that, I think we can move on to our handover slide. And I'd like to ask everybody in the room to put their hands together one last time to welcome this year's co-chairs, Daniel, Jonathan, and Mia, for our closing panel.
Thank you. Thank you, Maren, so much. It's been so wonderful. I think, Martin, I don't have the control for moving the slide. There we go. Thank you. So we just wanted to share a few reflections, very brief ones, and some thank yous too, before the final announcement is made for plans for next year. And to start off with, I just want to say we never imagined that we would be exploring care within the context which we all face together. So this moment of crisis is painful and fearful for all of us, but this has been a groundswell of collaboration, of insight, of inspiration in a very hard time. So I'm very pleased that that OER20 could be that, and who knew that care would take center stage in such a significant way. So thank you everyone for being a part of that. Daniel, Jonathan, do you want to add anything?
Daniel.
Yes, to echo Mia's words, I mean, it has been such a ride over the last few months. It has been really fun. And in this last sprint, things evolved in a very unexpected way. But I think that we have made, and as a community, we have made the most of the situation. And I have really enjoyed the conference myself.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of echoing and saying ditto, I think it's, yeah, with deep thanks and gratitude to everybody who's both made this final transition as smooth as possible, but also for the whole experience. It's been, yeah, truly sort of rewarding, developing, and entirely humbling. So yes, thank you. Martin, perhaps the next slide.
So I just wanted to throw out a shout out to dear Saba, who was our first plenary session and kicked it off for us so beautifully. So thank you, Saba. I know she had to run to class, but she'll see this in recording. She started or kicked off a wonderful conversation for us and addressing like such crucial concerns for the conference overall. And some of the takeaways include the importance of the role that art plays in society. Also, I wanted to say that there's this idea of making things invisible that are invisible more visible. I heard that over and over again in the sessions that I attended. And I think that she brought that to the foreground as well. Also, her work makes us really think about our humanness. And I guess the truth is that our humanity is a complexity, and it can't be contained by data society or the framing logic of algorithms. And so it was so pleasing to me to start off the conference with those kinds of ideas in the foreground for all of us. So thank you, Saba.
The next slide, Martin. And yeah, I guess following on from Mira, I think this morning we had a truly, I think, kind of a remarkable insight into the complexity and passion that sits inside of trying to organize collective endeavor when you're trying to work both inside the institution as well as work alongside of it. I think this idea of rethinking those infrastructures for the production of new knowledge and how I guess publishing becomes really for me, I love to see it as a practice in its own right, and we need to do that both with rigor and care, as well as criticality being a key pathway for us to, I guess, kind of design where we wish to be and how we might consider that. How might we do this in the midst of the crisis, the complexity, and everything that's happening within higher education and the world more generally at the moment? And next slide, please, Martin.
And that takes us to the last collective keynote speaker. And as I have said several times, we really wanted to rethink the keynote format this year. And actually, by being online, it brought us more opportunities to explore this. So I was really happy to see them contributing with a tweet chat. And we got here a very brief video, a clip produced in the context of one of the projects that they are developing around the idea of care. Specifically, it's called Labs of Care. So Martin, if you could play that, please.
I think care is about patience, largo plazo, this belonging,
vulnerability,
depth, comprehension,
la sincérité de l'interaction,
respect, solidarity, acabar con los privilegios de los hombres,
interdependence,
community, mantenernos unidos,
l'envie de coopérer,
like warmth,
life, l'envie d'expérimenter et de faire différemment.
love.
So the Labs of Care project is trying to explore ways in which we can develop a culture of care and what this means to organizations beyond education, but we can apply a lot of this learning to our own educational institutions, and it's just important to acknowledge this the importance of developing methodologies. So this is not something that is going to happen by magic. We really have to work hard to structure care into our own context. Martin, can you go to just in this slide also to emphasize the idea of activism and how this is I think is a common thread within the conference this year. We have had several talks and presentations touching activism, and that's quite important when we talk about care, because at the end of the day, it's about rethinking power structures. So, yes, we wanted also to close sorry, can you go back to Martin to the previous slide, that one? We just wanted to share another from Famous, which is the 10 Commandments of Care in Progressive Organizations and Social Movements. So my co-chairs and I are going just to read very briefly the 10 headings, and we invite you to explore it in more detail. So the first is just indicating that care, we are in times of precaredness. So we have to think of care in these times of precaredness.
The second tenet is that care is all about context, and there's no universal version of care.
3, care is naturalized and thus difficult to identify. We need to make explicit effort to unveil care practices that are currently unbalanced.
4, care is a cross-cutting aspect of society, so it's embedded everywhere.
The fifth tenet is that care is a political matter.
And 6, redistributing care means redistributing power dynamics.
7 is that body remembers, and it takes time to adjust to the new realities.
8, care is infectious. And with the backdrop we're struggling with right now, I think that's a kind of positive twist on the term, in the sense that it can inspire and it can move forth energy.
Number 9 tells us of the importance of rules. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves if we need formal and clear rules that structure what was previously invisible. There isn't a magic universal solution for this either.
And the last one is that care requires strategies at multiple levels. And I'm just sharing the link on the chat for you to read in more detail the different points.
And next slide, Martin, please.
So social bingo lives on.
Yes.
We want you guys to keep going in there. Daniel, talk about the splot.
Well, I mean, this is I have played before with splots quite a few times, I would say, but this is definitely the most exciting one, and I'm thrilled to see how this has been on fire. This is kind of an endless resource of inspiration and connections. So I encourage you to keep exploring and finding random people until you know everyone who is there, and also go ahead and establish connections.
Next slide, I think. Martin, next. There it is.
I guess it would be remiss of us as if we didn't both formally acknowledge kind of the incredible amount of effort and energy and sheer tenacity that I think all of the alt team have really pulled in terms of making this together with their board and the support that they must have and the trust inside of the association, as well as the wider community. Every single person remained committed to what we were trying to achieve with OER 20. And, you know, we truly recognize that wasn't on top of everything else an easy transition. for people to make. And yeah, we're truly humbled by everything that has happened. And I think as we've seen it both in the chat and in other spaces, I think it's also important to acknowledge and recognise and thank the families of the people who have been able to attend here and who've been able to kind of assist juggling all of those things, and those loved ones in those supporting roles. If I maybe say one more, and I'll hand over to Amir and Daniel a little bit, but I think it's equally that moment when we think of the infrastructures that we work within, is to thank the institutions that both support and enable us to attend and spend time working on things like this, our students and colleagues who again really make these sorts of opportunities possible for us all. Yeah, Daniel?
Yes, also thank you to the different organizations who have been working to organize satellite events like Wikimedia UK with Lucy, Richard, Daria, also Anne-Marie, Scott and colleagues for this pre-event that was meant to happen, but that will be happening online, trying to reimagine higher education as a public good in the age of surveillance. Also Reclaim Hosting for this also pre-event that was going to happen, but also for their support for making happen both the karaoke and the social bingo.
Yes, and also I wanted to give a shout out to Alan Levine for his design of the spots that have enabled us to do wonderful things in terms of our community connections. Also, a shout out to FemEd Tech and the FemEd Tech Quilt and the visionary leadership of Frances Bell and her support, Suzanne Hardy in particular, but the whole FemEd Tech team for the beautiful artifact that represents the spirit of care in OER 20. Finally, we just want to say that care is not just about kindness. It's about challenging power dynamics. It's about challenging structures of oppression, and it's about ways of doing and being. And we hope that that really came through in the overall conference and the overall conversation.
And next slide, Martin.
So this slide is deep in my heart. It's the team.
Deep in all of our hearts, I think, Mia.
Yes. The three of us have formed a small family over the course of the year, and all the ups and downs that we've been through have been significant. We've learned so much. I can speak to my own experience by saying I've learned so much from these two and working with them, and I will miss you guys.
Careful now, you're going to get watery eyes on for all of us.
Yes, well, thank you so much, guys. It has been an incredible experience. And now I guess at this time to look to the future. Yeah.
Thank you. I thought for a minute, Daniel, you were just going to leave it at thank you. In your typically and wonderfully straight kind of manner. Yeah, I think, yes, you guys have been phenomenal. I think at various points we've all each been there for one another. So I think a public thank you to you from me as well. And Martin, the next slide.
I think maybe we could just pause there and give our co-chairs a big round of applause, as we would do when we were all together. We can see Brian Mather's resounding OER hello across the globe. I hope Daniel, Jonathan, Mia, you can hear the roaring applause and the very caring embrace of the conference that you've made happen.
Yeah, it's lovely. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
It's eerie that it's so silent.
It's quite emotional watching this man. I think it's worse than in person. And Maren, are we handing back over to you and Martin now?
Yes.
Yes.
As we are saying thank you to our wonderful co-chairs and an absolutely amazing committee, wonderful presenters, and everybody who's been involved in making OER 20 happen. We might not quite be sure what's happening in the next few weeks, but we certainly know what's in store for next year, because our conference is going from strength to strength and has a future and stewards who will be seeing it through the next year. So if you could all continue to put your hands together, we will now say a warm and caring welcome to the co-chairs of OER 21. And Joe, Lou, and Louise, welcome as OER co-chairs for next year. We have given you mics, so hopefully you can say hello in person. We don't quite know where yet, but you will be co-chairs next year.
Hello, massive hello from South Yorkshire in the north of England. I'm so excited, scared and daunted by this, but you know, I will do my best, and what more can any of us do?
And hello from Glasgow, Scotland. I just think this year's been absolutely wonderful, but I am looking forward to giving everybody a big hug and seeing you all in person. So I hope that that's what happens next year too, as well as obviously having a virtual part of things. And if you dig around my profile, you'll find out lots about me. I already know lots of the community, and I'm just really excited to support next year's event.
And it's hello from me as well. It's Louise in Edinburgh, on the other side of Scotland. It's fantastic. The past few days have been phenomenal. We've got a really big act to follow. But as Joe says, I'm really hoping that we'll be able to see you and give you hugs in person this time around. But for now, we're going to go away and start planning, and we can't wait. And I can't wait to work with Lou and Joe as well.
Yep.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone.
And you've got a combination of different UK accents as well.
So thank you very much to this year's co-chairs, Daniel, Jonathan, and Mia, and a very warm welcome from everyone at the OER conference to Joe, Lou, and Louise, next year's co-chairs. And with the biggest thank you from everyone who's been involved, we wish you all the very best and take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, and take care.
Thank you ever so much indeed. With very warm and virtual hugs.
Oh, there is an after party hashtag that we should have mentioned. So if anybody on their way home, whether it's just going downstairs to the living room or going in the garden, wants to join in, there is the OER after party hashtag where you can join in with tea or maybe something stronger, depending on what time of day it is for you. And we can continue the conversation on the OER 20 hashtag. Martin, isn't that right? We're going to continue after partying for a while yet on social media?
For sure. And no karaoke this time, I'm afraid. Just drinks and relaxation.
Well, I have to say, you three, we had one more registration just coming in for the conference, which is now at nearly 1,200 participants. So your OER conference has attracted more participants than the last 5 years put together. And it's a really special moment for all of us.
Wow. Yeah, Maren and Martin, you, I don't know if everybody can still hear us, but yeah, seriously, you guys have been phenomenal, and all the work you've done in the background is, yeah, to be in awe and inspired by. Thank you ever so much.